Question 6 of the DEB mock was a function question with a bit of algebra thrown in. So it says the diagram shows a graph of the function f of x equal to x squared minus 7x plus 10. So it's a quadratic and it's a positive quadratic, so it will look like a smile when it's drawn. You're told it's in the domain 0 to 7, so you've got 0 here and you've got 7 here, and it asks you to draw a different function. So the different function is g of x, and your g of x is 5 minus x, which is a linear function, so it's going to look like a straight line. So part 1, it wants you to draw a graph of the function. So how you're going to do it is on your calculator. So you plug in your function for g of x. Okay, you're going up from 0 to 7, you're going in steps of 1, and it'll give you values. Okay, that's the easiest way of doing it. Or if you had worked it out, you're just going 5 take away 0 is 5, so your point was 5, 0. 5 take away 1 was 4, so 4, 1, etc. And then you plot your points, and you get a straight line, and your line is going downhill, which you would expect because you have a minus x value. Okay, so that was the part 1 and 2 done. Then it asks you to use algebra to solve where g of x is equal to f of x. So g of x equals f of x, in other words, means where they touch or where they intersect, where they're equal. So you write down g of x and you write down what g of x stood for, which is 5 minus x. You write down f of x and what it stood for. You're going to tidy up that quadratic so it's in the form of a quadratic equal to 0. And then you're going to use your minus b formula. So when you tidy it up, you get x squared minus 6x plus 5. So in terms of that, a is 1, b is minus 6, and c is 5. Plug it into your minus b formula. Tidy it up. Again, when you're tidying it up, make sure you do not get a minus sign underneath your square root. Square things correctly. So you get 6 plus or minus root 16, which is 6 plus or minus 4. So when you work that out, you get the values of 5 or 1, and they will be your answer. So it's basically telling you that your graphs crashed where x was 5 and x was 1, and that's what our picture is showing us as well. If you had just written them off your graph, you would have got no marks because it asked you to use algebra. Part C, it asks you to explain why the tangents to the curve y equals f of x at the points where the graphs intersect, so in other words your 5 and your 1, aren't parallel. So the reason they're not parallel is tangents are lines that hit or touch a curve at one point, and at that point their slopes are equal to the slope of the curve. So when you look at your curve, go back up here, at point 1, your curve is coming downhill, so its slope is negative. Where at point 5, it's going uphill, so its slope is positive. You cannot have things which are parallel where one is positive and one is negative. Okay, so that's basically the explanation for part C.